Hi, my name is Deanne Bashir, and thank you all for being here. I want to give a couple of warm thanks to the American Friends of Lafayette and Mr. Schwam and Mr. Halbert for contributing so much needed details to make this script happen. Again, I want to echo what Mr. Jeffway said. This is a historical fiction. And so I did my best to imagine what Thomas and Jane might be going through. So the language will be quite contemporary. Please, let's just enjoy that. Okay. On James Kent. 2 a.m. on James Kent. Lafayette is looking over the main deck next to his son, George Washington Lafayette, and an unknown ship attendant.
Will we ever tire of this adulation? I am thinking of Olmutz, Adrienne, the turmoil in France. I say no. The cheers are a balm to my spirit. Look at this land, this bounty.
Boisterous laughter, the call of the ship's partygoers is intoxicating.
Attendez, vous partez, Georges. He doesn't hear me. Or does he? Selective hearing and comprehension, a genius tactic he has taken on. Please, sir, will you stay with me? Thank you. Children are such unforgiving mirrors. These United States have seemingly achieved what France has not, successfully prevailed against an oppressive monarchy. In my youth, revolution was unthinkable. Even the rights of those privileged to have the ear of the king were not guaranteed. These rights were dependent on a monarch's agenda or whims. In the words of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. In that system, I was taught to revere those who had fashioned my chains. As you might know, I was born into nobility with great wealth at my fingertips, yet still I was bound as subject to His Majesty. If it weren't for ma chère Madame la Duchesse d'Ayen, holding informal salon after dinner in the front of the fireplace, challenging us to think, to question illogical, absurd passages from the Bible. She made Adrienne and me grapple with why would God create humans and then drown them in a flood? She went to Mass almost every day, but made sure her daughters knew the church was a business that was not always managed ethically. Ah, Madame, she was my mother-in-law. It is her handiwork that revealed those invisible chains that had been wrought link by link to deprive me of my fundamental birthright, to write, think, and speak as my Creator would have me. She taught me to question my childhood beliefs. I remember when the translation of the Declaration of the American Rebels was on display at Versailles. The simple, universal beauty of its language so captured my heart that I copied it down in my journal. All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. Do you know how fortunate you are? Even while as a worker on this vessel, there are financial limitations. You have the choice to leave if you so choose. You have the freedom to speak and worship as you see fit. When I learned that I did not have what you now enjoy, I was consumed with the desire to join the cause to free the colonies from British rule.
On Burbank Road, it's 2 a.m. and the morning mist clings to the dense woods as Thomas and Jane Williams make their way along the narrow, uneven dirt road that winds through the town of Washington area. The towering trees cast long shadows over the path, and the sounds of birds and rustling leaves accompany their footsteps. The air is crisp, carrying the earthly scent of a damp soil and the promise of a long day ahead.
Oh, thank the Lord for these new shoes, since you insisted we take this long, long walk.
You got plenty of sleep, Thomas, so ain't nothing to worry about, especially with those strong legs of yours.
I just don't exactly see the point of walking 30 miles to the river. Why we can't just stay at home in
It's
bed?
16 miles, and you'll be the only one to say they didn't even try to see the famous America's Guest.
I know a few people.
Oh, stop fibbing. You just a homebody.
It's the middle of the night, and you know darn well it's not safe. You know about Archer Jones just last week?
He just didn't want to get married to Laney, so he skipped town.
No, Jane. Folks saw it. He was taken south.
The sound of horses moving through the trees stopped them both cold. They are quiet for a long moment.
Poor Laney. She's been talking about how good they get along. I hope he finds his way back somehow.
There's only a slim chance of that.
Okay. It's okay. We'll reach the river for morning. And we're being careful.
You got your manumission papers?
Yes, I got them right here. Imagine one day walking down a road with no fear.
Walking down a road or into a store, no eyes on your back.
Begging and pleading not to be overcharged. No more checking things
Or
twice
smiling and laughing.
while choking down all that grief and rage.
Folks like us, it's hard to imagine.
Jane holds Thomas's hand or something affectionate. A laugh.
Well, things are about to change. I got some hope.
Not for a long, long time.
Sally Jane said she heard her mistress tell how Lafayette is an abolitionist through and through. He's going to convince them to change the laws.
He lives in France, Jane. How's he gonna...
Well, he had a plantation in French Guiana, and he set all his slaves free. He wrote letters to convince George Washington to do the same.
Do you believe that?
Sally's mistress said he'd been discussing it with Washington for years. He called slavery an evil that must be ended. He fought for the French people in the name of equality. And that's why I wanted to come, to see him with my own eyes and to hear his words.
I'm glad you have hope. I'll believe it when I see it. Besides, I could never let my beautiful wife walk this far alone in the dark.
Still on James Kent, the ship's attendant was forced to move on to other duties. Lafayette, too wired to sleep, has found another passenger to converse with.
Yes, my leg. It's not entirely painless. However, it's not the wound that won me Washington's respect, although I come from a long line of military men. Yes, you know that, of course. My escape to America took great deception, which did not make Adrienne, her father, or His Majesty the King, very pleased. I think it was the meeting of Dr. Franklin that sealed my desire to fight alongside the colonists. He wore simple clothes and charmed the court with witticisms, risque anecdotes, and ceaseless tales of his inventions. Adrienne and I visited Dr. Franklin in a small village just outside the walls of Paris called Passy. Despite his humble appearance, he had a printing press and a small laboratory, and regularly organized dinners with notables such as Abbé Raynal as guest of honor. It was quite the operation. Have you read him? Oh, you must indeed. He caused a great stir with 6 volumes of scathing criticism of the church, slavery, and feudal systems. No one had really read it until the king and the church had all the copies of the books burned. During one of our visits, Dr. Franklin revealed that he had owned half a dozen slaves. They helped him keep his printing press running. However, he since freed them and now found slavery immoral and offensive. He was proud to be the only signer of the Declaration of Independence to have emancipated his slaves. My decision was made. If this old man could risk his life and leave his family, friends, and business behind, I could do no less. I could have never predicted the voyage across the Atlantic. The food that I brought along spoiled within a week was out. No passenger escaped the horrors of cohabitating with rodents and insects. It was grueling. I missed Adrienne and my 2 young daughters. Once on land in Georgetown in South Carolina, I saw a white-haired black man dressed only in tattered, cut-off pants bent over a small boat scrubbing. Visible all over his back were large, discolored welts. Slavery was outlawed in France, though not in her colonies. So I had never seen a slave before. Reynald's words about the brutality of slavery had seemed remote and intangible. But this personal encounter brought home the cruelty of domination of another human being. The old man graphically imprinted the evils of slavery in my memory and on my heart. Later, I could not help but notice the glaring contradiction between the Constitution and the institution of slavery here.
On Freedom Plains Road, it's 5 a.m. The night sky is breaking, casting a faint light that filtered through the trees, illuminating their path.
Look at that open field with the remnants of the past summer's crops. One day we could own one of those plots of land, don't you think?
We keep hoping, saving every cent we earn. It'd be real nice to have a big house, and grow some vegetables, get a cow, maybe even 2 or 3.
Can you see it? Sunday dinners with both of our families and our 5 kids.
Well, 5 kids?
I thought that's what you
Well,
wanted.
no, you promised me 10 kids.
I never once said 10 kids. Do you know how many bedrooms you'll have to build to fit all of us?
Yeah, that's what I want, but man, it's so hard to see how all of this could really happen. Last year, the crop was big, but we still didn't make a profit.
I remember.
Maybe one day it'll happen. Do you really believe that Lafayette can convince them? I mean, maybe one day it'll be easier. I don't know. Either way, I'm just gonna save all my pennies.
A group of white men on horseback exit a small path in a large patch of woods. They are laughing and boisterous. Thomas and Jane remain unseen because they are able to slip behind a few trees on the other side of the road.
No, we shouldn't have to hide and be afraid. We have papers.
Well, let's at least wait until they get further down the road.
Well, you said preacher would meet us about 2 miles up. If we late, they're gonna leave us. Do you want to walk the whole way there?
I would rather walk than get taken. Maybe we just walk slowly in the woods.
No, we'll walk in the open. I mean, if you believe Lafayette stands with us, then I believe in Lafayette. He stands for freedom for all men, and that means us. Here, hold my hand. We'll be just fine.
They walk for a while.
I guess the freedom's not here just yet. Well, we just hope that it happens in the future.
We both prayed on this, didn't we?
Well, yes, but
Still on James Kent an hour or so later. After trying several times, Lafayette cannot sleep despite being extremely exhausted. Lafayette emerges from his room once more. A different passenger, probably in the same predicament, passes by.
We are rested this morning, n'est-ce pas, dearest friend? What is troubling your sleep? Ah, the noise. The noise of celebration. It is quite beautiful. There is so much to celebrate, our victories and our efforts. Perhaps at the end of our days, we may even cheer a little for the failures. Only when we have fastidiously set our ambitions on continued striving towards success. Upon my return to France, I carried these experiences with me. I fought for liberty on my own soil against the tyranny of monarchy. I knew that the fight for freedom was not merely a struggle against a foreign oppressor, but also against the injustices we impose upon ourselves. France, in its mission to destroy feudal systems and transfer power to the people, lost its way. In their blinding rage, the people became vicious bullies, exacting a reign of terror that caused so much grief. I realized why they executed so many of my family, but not all the people they murdered deserved that fate. Because of this, I am in such admiration of the order and civility of your country. A bit of envy courses through me. Even with my envy, there is concern. There is still a contradiction that leaves me agitated. I see now a nation that has grown but still wrestles with its dependency on free labor. It is not enough, my friends, to celebrate our victories in battle and our independence from tyranny if we do not also strive to liberate those among us who remain oppressed. The spirit of 1776 must be carried forward, not just in our hearts, but in our policies. We must extend the promise of equality to our black brothers and sisters, to the indigenous peoples whose lands we occupy. This is not just a matter of policy, but of morality. It is a fulfillment of the very ideals that brought us together as a nation.
The road to the center of town. Thomas and Jane are now on the back of a wagon with other people, headed to get as near to the Poughkeepsie Hotel as possible. The road becomes busier as they near the town. The crowd thickens with every mile, a mix of people from all walks of life, all drawn by the chance to see the great Lafayette. The tension eases slightly as they blend into the crowd, but the danger is never far from their minds.
So many people, free and enslaved, are here, all looking for something. Hope, maybe, a sign that things can change. Lafayette is a man who fought for freedom, not just for his own people, but for all people. If he can stand up against tyranny, then so can we. And we're not just walking for ourselves today, we're walking for a future that we can believe in.
Our first child shall be called Lafayette.
Yeah. That's a strong name for a strong man. He'll fight for us bravely, and he'll have the big house that we're dreaming of.
He will walk down any road with no fear.
That's right.
And he can buy his own groceries with no eyes on his back. He'll never have to beg or plead. And he'll be paid fairly.
He won't have to smile or laugh while choking down grief and fear.
The sun is high in the sky as they reach the outskirts of Poughkeepsie. The town is alive with the buzz of excitement and anticipation. As they approach Market Street, in front of the Poughkeepsie Hotel, where Lafayette is speaking, Thomas and Jane exchange a look filled with the weight of their journey and the hope that they carry.
Mes amis, I urge you, with all the conviction of a man who has fought and bled for this cause, to consider the full meaning of liberty. Let us not be content with half measures. Let us not betray the promise of equality enshrined in our founding documents. Instead, let us ensure that this nation truly becomes a land where all men and women, regardless of their race or heritage, can stand as equals, free to pursue happiness. Only then will we have truly honored the sacrifices made for our independence. This is my plea to you, not just as a soldier, but as a fellow human being who believes in the boundless potential of freedom. Let us make good on the promise of the Declaration of Independence. Let us treat black and indigenous peoples with the equality that they are due, not just because it is written in our law, but because it is right.
On Market Street, Thomas and Jane are peering through the crowd, standing shoulder to shoulder with hopeful Americans, listening to their hero. End of play. I just wanted to introduce, this is Aaron Morton playing Thomas. And Alexis Braxton playing Jane. And of course, Michael Halbert playing Lafayette. I'll just end by saying thank you to Dutchess County Historical Society and Myra for presenting me with this wonderful opportunity. It's lifted my spirits, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. Thank you.